We've already talked a lot about the tremendous power of the self-image. The power to determine or to trigger and maintain moods, emotions, actions, relationship, how it affects relationship. I'm wondering this morning whether it's possible to enter into such a self-image with its action, with its effect and consequences. Taking what someone is relating about himself or herself, a deep, abiding, almost unshakable or immovable sense of unworth. Actually, the first thing that was reported was endless fear, reoccurring or abiding fear, and underneath it or wherever it's located, the sense of no worth. Being an unworthy human being. Now, for oneself, as one hears this, it may not apply, maybe not at this moment. Other self-images may have been instilled into one and grown and accumulated. And yet it's the same thing. The effect may be different, but effect there is from the way we see ourselves as others have seen us and reacted to us, talked to us and about us, acted upon us since we were very small. So for as long as one has lived, maybe, there has been growing this abiding sense of unworth, being no good, bad, and fear connected with this, because with this sense comes the conviction not being lovable, likable, not worthy of relationship, which one may be longing for, to maybe undo or break down the self of unworth, but there is no relationship, which confirms one's sense of no worth. And intellectually, one may have come to many retreats and one understands it's the image. The image is not real. There may be something about myself beyond this image, but this is all just words. Because the deep sense is there of worthlessness. Can one enter into that, feel that as someone else is feeling it? One may go for a walk on a beautiful day, maybe up into the field and see this marvelous, indescribable shade of yellow of the oats in the wind, the rustling, the movement like a wave, and hear the sound, and yet immediately there is a sense of loneliness and pain. You may walk through the woods and maybe see a twig of a maple, the buds, some of them almost ready to burst, and some of them have bursted. The red upwelling of leaf and life, and yet the feeling comes up, so what? It's not for me. It's distant, it's there, but it's not there. There's no connection with it, no touch with it. Because around oneself is this cement wall of being what I know I am, not worthy, no good, and the fear of that informing the whole body and everything around one. Because there can't just be the beauty of the field, the branch, the leaves, the sound of the wind. Or can there? Even though it hasn't been last moment, last week, yesterday, or this morning. How attached is one to this incredible suffering? By attachment, not meaning liking it, but somehow clinging to it, clinging to the image as the reality, giving credence to thought and idea and memory as representing what is so, what is true. And clinging to the assumption that this will last forever, it is hopeless. This adds to the depression, the idea I'm a hopeless case, this is never going to end. It has abated for a while in the past, there were some good feelings, but it's always come back. And something that has always come back in the past will always come back in the future. So it's hopeless. See the assumptions we make based on the past about the future, which is not here except in thought. Can one see that operating right now? It will always be like this because it has been like this. It may not be thought out this verbally, but it's there verbally and non-verbally, feeling-wise. Can one see that one is giving credence to memory, to thought, to what one knows about this moment, in words, in image, as being the truth, the only truth, the only thing there is? About this sense of worthlessness. As it may manifest right now, or whatever other sense manifests in anyone else. What about the sense of unworthiness? Good for nothing. Not good for another. What does this refer to? To whom does that refer? It refers to me, doesn't it? To all one knows and thinks about and has known and remembers about me. Which is just what was said, a strung together series of memories, impressions, moods. The responses from others and one's responses to them coming out of this depressive sense of unworthiness. All strung together as me. This is me. This is what I am. I take it for true that it is so. I've been told that, or it's been instilled into me, and I don't remember how and when. It happened when there was no consciousness of it, no awareness of the mechanism, and very likely no awareness of what one was doing as a parent to the child. We talk to children and about children, particularly when they're small, as though they had no ears, no senses to hear, to build up within. Impressions about ourselves. With a little baby has no impressions about itself until somebody tells him or her what you are, how cute, or how cute the sister is. From which follows the assumption I'm not. Is that what I am? Don't take it on anyone's word, but look at it as it comes up, as it causes pain, as it causes further thought about the future. It's all thought and idea and memory, impressions, moods, related to the people we grew up with and to the people we're with now, to whom we bring the same responses and therefore also receive very similar responses. Everything seems to confirm this idea about myself. But can one see that it is an idea, even though it is full of feeling and emotion, reaction? But the emotion and reaction and the fears that go with it, real as they are and palpable, and unpleasant or exciting, upsetting or depressing, do not validate the picture, the image from which they arise. They don't make that any more real. Fears are real in that the body churns. The heart, the stomach feels dreadful under pressure, the chest. body in tension or body numb. That's all real. But it doesn't validate the image which arouses these feelings. It doesn't make that any more real than it already is. An image in the mind built up over years and years and years, and powerfully dominant in dictating our behavior with each other and within ourselves. Down on oneself, hating oneself, and then all the compensatory behavior that comes from that. This whole me configuration, as it has arisen over the years and as it acts to disturb deeply or destroy the aliveness of the moment, is not worthy, is it? It's not, has no worth, does it? It's really true, isn't it? What worth is there in this kind of unreal entity which directs and shapes our life and our relationship? What I'm saying is not judgmental. It may sound this way, but it has no worth. It's so. One need not be in conflict with that. But is oneself that image which has no worth other than its power to influence, to dictate, to affect? Do we give it worth? Credence? Thinking it is so, it is true, it is all there is? Why do we assume that? Time and time again. Because we know no other? Nothing else about ourselves? That there is something else about oneself may be totally not known, but it cannot be assumed that because one doesn't know anything else but self-image with its consequences and actions and moods, that this is all there is to this. What is this that we could put a good name to it? A manifestation of life here on this seat, on this mat, on this chair. It is a manifestation of life, isn't it? Because the heart is beating. I'm not beating it, it's beating. There is something going on called breathing, which, when listened to or attended to, felt, is not what the words say. It is something unimaginable. And there is hearing. There is the wind, the sounds. How can one even put them into words? We sometimes do it. But words cannot convey the whole spectrum and depth of sounds and sights, of light, of warmth and cold, of touch, of pain. If the word is treated lightly, then what is the whole spectrum of inner pain due to the sense of unworth? the tensions in the muscles, chest, stomach, heart, head. Sometimes the utter subtlety of it, when there is some subtle listening. It doesn't have to mean anything. Listening to the sound of this sheet there rustling doesn't need to mean a thing. The ear doesn't have to go out there to hear it. It just needs to be open. And when there are no plugs in the ears, they are open to an extent, to a degree. There needs to be no effort in listening or attending to what goes on inwardly and outwardly. Needs no effort. It's there. It's also there for a deaf and a blind person. Differently. Different senses then become prominent. Different feelings and sensings that we don't develop, but the blind or the deaf person does. And this manifestation of aliveness has nothing to do with image, has nothing to do with what our parents told us or scolded us we were or were not. Has nothing to do with comparison or all the mental work which causes all of our suffering. Because in the midst of everything else, we create the image of the sufferer, the victim of all that has happened to us. And that produces new pain, new tensions, new heartache and chest ache, stomach ache, headache. And then the thought, I don't want to feel that way. It's horrible. I want to get rid of it. Which now brings conflict with what image and thought and memory from many years gone by is producing in this body. The body dutifully, or the way it is designed to do, creating feelings and sensations. And then the mind or thought condemning the way one feels. And creating conflict and inner contradiction, to which the body again responds. And so on ad infinitum. And yet, in spite of all of this going on, all the time, waking, sleeping, dreaming, there is a different capacity altogether. Possible for this organism, which is a manifestation of life right here on this mat or seat or chair, and manifestation of life is a good expression insofar as it is not unconnected from the whole stream of life, which is manifesting everywhere. Around us, and all the different people outside, in the grass, in the trees and clouds, in the deer, and the little glowworms on the side of the road the moment it gets warm. Did you see that the other night? About a week ago, it was getting cooler, but it had been so warm. In March, glowworms all along the driveway. believe it. Little spots of light in the dark. We shone the flashlight on it, and it was just little brown, insignificant looking crawly things around the stones, hither and thither, and turn the flashlight off and they glow. They don't glow right now. It was too cold, but they will glow again. And then suddenly something will fly and glow. I think it has to do with a glowworm turning into something flying that glows. Right now, they're probably under the rocks someplace, maybe dead, I don't know. I don't think so. I think there's some intelligence there crawling into something that's warmer. And this is, of course, we forgot to talk about the stars and the moon at night when the clouds part. Sometimes one is dropping, shooting through the sky. This is all this flow or stream or field of life, of which right here sits a manifestation of it. Not disconnected, not flung loose into space. Because there's breathing going on, and breathing, everything in the body glows, or whatever the word one may want to use. One can feel it. When there's a very quiet listening to the breathing, without making a practice out of it. Just quietly listening as to the wind, which is almost inaudible right now. And all of that going on, the beating of the heart, or the aching of the heart, churning of the stomach, tensing of muscles. We couldn't tense muscles if there weren't muscles. Wouldn't have a headache if we weren't alive. All of that manifestation of life, which is part of the wind, and the puddles on the ground, which are so fragrant right now, all of that has nothing to do with the self-image at all. Except that self-image is just another manifestation of life, but one which creates quite a bit of disturbance and disorder in an otherwise orderly process of aliveness. An organism taking care of its survival is disturbed by self-image. The functioning of the glands and organs is disturbed. We're talking right now about the kind of self-image that is so destructive, so detrimental, self-hatred and so forth. Yesterday we talked about feeling good about oneself and the energy that then pervades the body. Self-image has that power too, creating tremendous energy of a high. But coming back to sitting, walking, lying down, eating, sleeping, or defecating with the sense of no worth. What patience, what can I say, loving or friendly or open, vulnerable patience will one give this state of being as it is at this moment. Will one give it? The language is dualistic. It's not meant this way, but this is how we talk. Will one give it infinite patience, the patience of eternity, if need be? To sit, walk, lie down, eat, and live. Maybe die with it, without making a conflict out of it, without pushing it away or tackling it, fighting it, bemoaning it. Nothing. Is that possible? Of course it's possible. Listen. Whether the wind is quiet or in furor, there can be listening, can't there? Whether the insides are quiet or in furor, there can be listening, can't there? There is. It is going on. Only one pays no attention. Why not? Because one is sick and tired of the pain. Maybe one has never touched it completely, without anything in between. No contradiction, no opposition, no resistance, which means the subtle oppositions and resistances and contradictions need to be exposed in quiet listening, which is ready to feel the pain of it all, without becoming the sufferer of it or the victim of it, which is thought again, interfering uselessly, worthlessly. If it does as it does, can it also be part of what is listened, of what is in this vast listening field, which is without borders and can go on forever? Nothing needs to interrupt it. If there are interruptions, that's all right. But nothing says, I can't bear this anymore, or can't listen to this anymore, except thought. But it's possible to continue from moment to moment without any conclusion how long this will last, or that it is hopeless, that it's going to go on forever, that it can never be conquered. It's not even a question of conquering. It's just a question of listening and looking. Without separation. Without separation. Do you hear that? Do you know what that means, no separation? No me who is doing it or who is bearing it or suffering it. Which means no thought about me bearing it or suffering it or doing it. So that there's just what is, minutely, unmolested, unhemmed in, not hemmed in, not braced against. Have we ever sat like that? Walked like that? For a moment at a time? No need for ambition for long times or forever. Underneath all the fear and pain and burdensomeness of how one thinks about oneself and thinks that others think about one, underneath all of that, out of such immensely patient, quiet sitting, there can sort of be this slight movement, like a crawly glowworm, of the all-rightness of everything, the all-rightness of aliveness. No matter how one may feel at this moment in time. No matter how one may feel personally at this moment of time. Because there's so much more to life than how we feel personally this instant. Even though it has such power over our perception and body. But one can listen carefully whether that is all how I feel this moment. we will end here for today.